We heard from Jen Lawson yesterday, among many other speakers. I'm really looking forward to who we have today. So with that said, it is my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Kuʻulei Keakealani. Born and raised in the uplands of Pu'uanahulu, North Kona, Roberta Kuʻulei Keakealani comes from a family of hardworking men and women. It is in the cool uplands of Waimea that Kuʻulei was raised, riding the slopes of Mauna Kea and Kohala alongside her dad and uncles. Growing up as a Parker Ranch Cowboys child has afforded her a lifetime of experiences and memories that have shaped her to be the Kanaka she is today. Kuʻulei has been in cultural education from the early 1900s, before I was even born, learning from what she deems as the two greatest teachers. Kuʻulei continues to learn from the elders in her family and community, as well as from the landscapes and seascapes she's privileged to care for in her life's work. You may find her one day on the upper slopes of Hualalai, restoring tomorrow's native forests to being waist deep in Kaloko'o Kiholo Fish Pond the very next day. Her stewardship has taken her to her current position as the cultural director of Ruialoha Kiholo, a nonprofit that works to malama the cultural and natural landscape of the Kiholo Bay area through community-based efforts. No matter where she may find herself, you may hear a story or two being conveyed of the significance of the place names being spoken. She is happy to share her knowledge in a long line of her hereditary kuleana. Her 3 daughters will someday assume their places in the succession that they are honored to uphold. Along with her husband and children, they continue to live the ways of their ohana, being close to the lands they so love and cultivating and growing food to sustain their lives. As a steward of Aina, Kuʻulei is humbled to live by the olelo no eau, he ala ka Aina, he kawa ke Kanaka. Also assisting Kuʻulei today with her presentation, we have Nikua Kamaka. I am so excited to see what they have for us today, so please join me in giving a warm welcome to them both.
Aloha mai. Mahalo, mahalo. I'm so glad you're here. I'm happy.
Feel free to adjust the mic.
Thank you. Interesting records. At 7:45, I pull into the driveway. The day before, I said I'd be there at 8 o'clock. Being early is the way of our kupuna, and I tried to follow suit, like I did today. Kind of failed. My dad jumps in. Morning, bebe, is the greeting. Hi, Dad, I respond. Our outing today will take us to the homeland of Pu'ua'awa'a, where we will huaka'i to areas that hold names like Vilivili, Kaluakauila, Kukuyohakau, and Kiholowan Waimea. The hum of the tires of my F-150 as we drive on is accompanied by his voice, giving accounts of this happened and that happened in just about every place we pass by. The modern way of travel. Cars whizzing by, hardly noticing the landscape we traverse. Not for him. The lands of Parker Ranch, holding years and years of memories, soon transition into the a'a-laden homeland of Pu'uanahulu, North Kona. Just as we move into the different terrain, so too does his remembrances move into the memories that this landscape holds for him. I listened to him, speaking the names of places we glance out at going 50 miles an hour. I try to keep up with the limitless speed in his mind. I try to keep up with the 50 miles of memories. Literally, he is recalling. So clear are these experiences in his mind that they soon become clear in my mind as I listen. I can see him and the uncles. I hear the lava cracking under the hooves of their horses as they follow. Sure-footed steeds chase down the pua'a that very well will become the pig that my sister and I hold the feet as we watch him pahi'ili, skin the pig. Soon enough, it will be fried up in a cast iron pan, put on hot rice, a swirl of shoyu, and ready for us to enjoy. This remembering he speaks of, these lived experiences. He speaks, I listen. He remembers, I imagine. The sound of iron creaks as the big heavy gates are pushed open. I smell the ocean. I cannot see it or hear it, but I can smell it. Perhaps it's the limu, the salt. Maybe it's these trees or the sea spray. I don't really know, but it's familiar. The smell of kai, the ocean. This scent I inhale is known to my body, to my mind, maybe even my bones. It is held in ancestral memory. Generations before me, familiar to those I descend from. Maybe that's why it's familiar, because it has been for decades and centuries. This scent, familiar to the children I have held and grown in my womb, just as I was held and grown in the womb of my mama. So perhaps this inhaled scent of kiholo was familiar from the time I was in the dark, watery, and safe place of my mother's opu. Flashes of these thoughts rendered in my mind as I opened the gates and walked back to my truck. As usual, we reached the fish pond. He'll walk to the makaha, then out to the ili-ili, not to the water's edge, but close enough to look what is in the cresting waves. Who might be home on this tide? The papa opens in front of him, and I watch as he is still motionless. He is observing. Kilo. Eyes attentive, watching, kilo input. He is being informed by his observation. I witness from a distance. I can only imagine what the inner dialogue sounds like. Kaimake, lo tai today. Oh, what did I see? Wo in the feeding on the papa. Bella today at Kiholo. Maybe these are some of the thoughts going through his mind. Maybe he's remembering how he and his cousins run the trail from Pu'uanahulu to Kiholo. Perhaps he's remembering his grandfather, Keakealani, who was born here at Kiholo. I know not if any or none of these happenings I speak of is what he is thinking at this moment. But at this moment, he observes, I watch. I imagine he remembers. I stand before you all with my father as one of the primary teachers of who I have become. He has taught and continues to teach me every single day. But I start this off, and when Miss Emma asked me what's the title of my presentation, I said, I have no idea. But this is what came. Remembering and imagining. Then I look at your folks' theme, restoring relationships, Mauka to Makai. So this sort of rendering, this reading, this account, journal entries for me of these two particular days, that one took us Mauka to our homelands of Pu'ua'awa'a, Another day takes us to the homelands Makai Pu'ua'awa of Kiholo. Are common, I'm blessed to say, common occurrences. Weekly, monthly, I'm able to be by his side as he constantly remembers, and I constantly try to imagine what it is he remembers. So I'm gonna ask if you all can kind of partner up. I'm gonna ask that each of you, sweetheart, can you go to the next slide, perhaps? It isn't even like I try to put it down as some kind of code but this is how it flowed in my mind. People, relationship, Pilina. Place equals relationship, Pilina. An experience that we have, all experiences, much like what I read, is Pilina, relationship. Once those experiences are done, they get stored in the memory bank, Pilina. It all ties in. So I would like if you could recall a person, or no, you know what, we're gonna go. You. Think about you. And if you could like connect mentally, physically, spiritually to a place you alone. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna partner up with somebody and you guys are going to share. Maybe something like this, an experience you had that you can speak, much like, sorry, I was a little late. I apologize for my tardiness. Emma was talking about wahine that you wanted to elevate. So maybe for now, we're going to just take a little bit of time to elevate an experience that you had that made a pilina, a relationship to a place. Maybe it's Philadelphia, Noah, that you, did you say Philadelphia? Yeah. Maybe it's someplace in Philadelphia. Up to you. But I'm going to just ask if for maybe a few minutes, you can share an experience that you have had, whether it's Mauka, Makai, here in Hawaii, Wela, just a place you have relationship to. So we're going to do that for a little while, if you don't mind. Very simple.
It's like that place I felt a deep connection to. Just going back there after years, changed, getting to this the fish and the balls and gills that came back up and legend. Yeah, these water level rise and we'll see get back down and then grow. Forest kind of got so yeah, it's hard to like narrow down an experience in that place because that's yeah, that's
I was trying to stall because, yeah, well, the park is kind of where, and I think it was my first home away from home. So I grew up in Washington, but there wasn't, because we were in a small town, there wasn't a lot of resources for just whether there were like museums or zoos, just things that could get me into ways. My grandma, she lived in Center City for 20 some odd years. And she was just in the hub of the wheel for all of this like art museum, Franklin Museum, National Academy of Science, Schuylkill River, like all these things that when I visited her in the summer, it was like, this is like a whole other world that I didn't have a wider view of the world through these outlets that I didn't find when I was back home, when it was just small town Washington, right? Small town. I mean, like Syracuse. So that was so cool. And my grandma's just such a fascinating person because she's Vietnamese. And she's in her 80s, but she takes classes, like community college classes, because she just is like a lifelong learner, and she's always taking her in class or some, language class or whatever. Like she's just that kind of person. She likes learning. She likes projects, and it was contagious. It's so much. I still do have so much admiration for her. And she took it. We didn't have enough money to go out to eat very much, and we didn't have that many ethnic restaurants. But she took me out to Chinatown, Philadelphia, and try all these different foods. And she just expanded my world from what it normally would have been. And it was just such a so Philadelphia was just it's not like a natural, it's very built up. The Schuylkill River is beautiful. There are some beautiful birding spots outside of the city. When I got into birding, I took her. We went to the blinds and waiting for and stuff. But just as a window into the wider world, it was like stepping up to the window, and I had kind of been too short to see. And grandma kind of put me up there, and he was like, look at this, and look at this, and look at this. Did you try that? Yeah. And it was so cool. So I don't know, it's hard to isolate one experience. I think it's just seeing it over the years, and taking buses down from Ithaca to visit her at Thanksgiving. And just the excitement. I love the place. It was always, seeing grandma, seeing my brother.
Okay, how are we doing?
I also love it.
We need a little bit more time. Are we good? We both got to share a little bit more time. You want to finish up? Perfect. Lovely. Lovely, lovely.
That was very personal. Yeah. What?
Did you mention?
I did, yeah. Yes. I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to. Right. One of these ladies called. And you tell a story with. Okay. Thank you for your graciousness.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Picture of the place. Works.
We good?
Yeah.
All righty. I think sometimes, too often, maybe we don't take the time to transmit, transfer. So maybe today, I'm not sure. I don't want to say that it was strangers that you had shared an experience or this moments with, but it's good, even if we're stranger, because at least you could speak that and elevate it. And I didn't mean to overhear, and I don't mean to share, but I know I had heard his last words to Miss Emma was this is a little emotional, or that it stirred up some feelings and emotions, which is kind of what this was meant to be. Much like reading what I read to you of my journal entries stirred up emotion. Right? When it goes down as a lived experience, there's going to be some emotion attached. Fear, happiness, excited, sad, whatever it is, but it's imprinted. It becomes imprinted. So I want to impress upon all of you, all of us, that we continue to transfer, speak. Tell probably the most important people in your lives, grandchildren, children, close friends, transfer the knowledge of these experiences, because that is how they continue. They continue to be remembered. They continue to be spoken and or imagined. Noah, can Auntie have the next slide, please? Okay, I didn't want this to be that you will listen to me for 1 whole hour. So we have things like this that you're going to have to do for yourself, because for me, I did not want to come here and only talk about my Pilina or my relationship. That's all good, but I wanted more for all of us to have these experiences to talk about or jot down our Pilina, our relationship. So I think we actually already did this particular activity. But if you look at that last line, how does a place know you? I think that's a beautiful thought to consider and contemplate. Are you Flint? No, you're not Flint. No. Sorry. Something when I sat on the Pu'ua'awa Advisory Council when it first started. I think we were the first council members, but sorry, Flint usually uses his cowboy hat. But hat. So when you look at a particular place, maybe it's the place that you spoke of. How does that place know you? That's some beautiful thoughts. For me, maybe a brief reflection. How does Kiholo know me? Kiholo knows me in a myriad of moods. I go to Kiholo sometimes where I'm like depleted, so tired, sad, maybe. And Kiholo can hold my weight, even as heavy as I feel. So Kiholo might know me in my saddest moments. Kiholo might know me when I was in total bliss and elation that I was able to conceive my third child, because all the doctors had said, you cannot have baby anymore. You're done. And when I got pregnant with our third and my last child, I went to Kiholo to float in the ocean, to float in the loko. So Kiholo knew me probably at my most happiest moments in my life. So we can see that, right? How does a place know you? I leave that for you to think about and consider. I'm hoping that you might have pencil and paper, or maybe you even have telephone, because nowadays we use telephone to take notes, yeah? This next activity is actually going to need you to perhaps write, because again, I wanted to, if you all don't mind, I wanted to give us some time and space to do some of these things. Next slide, please, Noah. So I'm going to just walk you through one of these things. This was actually pretty cool for me to see, just to see it. Sometimes it's about just voicing it. So just seeing this on paper. So this is what the question I posed. Does your name reflect Pilina? Sure it does. So I walked myself through this activity. I looked at my name. Oh, sorry, it kind of got a little, or maybe I just can't see. I looked at my name, Roberta Kuʻulei Keakealani. So if you don't mind, you go write your name on a paper. We'll just walk us through this. When I look at my first name, Roberta, it automatically makes me think and an automatic relationship touch point with my two grandfathers. Because my mom's dad's name is Robert, and my dad's name is Robert, and my dad is Robert. They gave me Roberta. So instant connection, relationship. Just looking at my first name, Roberta. So I will give you maybe a little bit of time. If you wrote one or more or all of your names, maybe jot down the people that immediately come. Maybe it's the person who gave you the name. Maybe it's who you're named for. I don't know. But we'll just give you a little bit of time, a few seconds. Then we look at place. That was the next thing, restoring relationships. I try to always go back to the theme of the conference, the symposium, restoring relationships or solidifying, affirming relationships. So it took me right to our homelands, Pu'uanahulu. Successive generations take us to these ahupua'a of Garth Pu'uanahulu, Pu'ua'awa'a, Kaupule. So I listed Kuʻuanahulu, the place that I was raised, continue to raise me. I looked at Kahuvai Kaupulehu. Maybe some of you have heard or know of the Kana Village Resort being rebuilt, reopened in a couple of months. That place is Kahuvai Bay. My grandfather, Robert Keakealani, is born there at Kahuvai Bay. Then I look at my other grandfather, Robert Franklin Thompson. He is born Syracuse, New York. So I have a connection there. Maybe I only know it by name. I have never been to Syracuse, upstate New York. Maybe I will one day, but that does not diminish or lessen my connection to Syracuse, New York. My grandfather was born there. One of the men I named after. Of course, relationship, connection. So you go right, your places that connect you. Build your relationship. Nice. So perhaps just reflect back on the experience that you had shared with your friend and they with you. Whatever the lived experience was, it nevertheless created a connection. Plenty connections, plenty. Maybe for a lot of us, lifetimes of connections. But what does that translate maybe to me? Relationship. That's my relationship to place. We are so often, I think, we think about what's my relationship to my husband, to my wife, to my children, to my best friend, to the stranger in the supermarket. Do I have any relationship there? Maybe, maybe not. But we look at people relationships. But what about relationship with place? Here's time for us to think about that. And just like we think about relationships with kanaka, with people, let us also, I think many of us in this room, perhaps all of us in the room, that's why we do the things we do. It is because of our relationship to place, which in essence is a relationship to people. And then the last one I put there is these lived experiences become memories. Memories. Much like that truck drive from Waimea to Kuʻuanahulu. Dad's memories. He's speaking, my imagining each one of these experiences. Okay, well, that little notes is for you. I would say glance at it every so often. Or pass it to someone, your child. Your spouse. Someone who you think should know this information. Okay, well, we are now going to have you stand up and do what Auntie Sana and I do, Auntie Lehua and I. We talked about, and I'm getting a little, so I don't know. Mauka makai, or as Dad says it, kaifuahi. We are going to give you some. Sorry, am I in a good place?
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mike, you're just going to do as I did. And where did we get? Okay. Even adwords. Not too much. Kai holo,
Holo.
kai pi'i,
Kaipiki.
kai piha,
Kaipiha.
kai nui,
Kainui.
kai hohon,
Kaikohon.
kai ku,
Kaiku.
kai apo, kai holu holu,
Kaiholu.
kai moku,
Kaimoku.
kai emi,
Kaimi.
kai maloo,
Kaimalo.
kai make,
Kaimake.
kai aaka,
Kaihaak.
kai hoe'e,
Oe.
kai mimiki,
Kaimibiki.
kai a huluman.
Kaiyaka. Uluman.
You may have gotten the slide out of order, but I'm going to go to the next slide. Next one. Next one. Next one. There it is.
Yeah.
There's the words.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
sorry.
What we just did with our hands, our motions, our words, is we walked you through title structures. Terms, Hawaiian terms that tell us where, what the ocean is to, where it's at. So now you have the words. We would do them one more time. This is one of the ways for us, since we are, yes, in Hawaii. I at least think it's kind of important, pretty important, maybe very important, to at least know some of the terms of the language that this land is used to hearing. So we can have slack tap, high tap, all of those, but we also have these terms. So hopefully, that is great. Makaukau?
Okay.
Oya. Kai holo.
Kaiholo.
Kai pi'i.
Kaipiki.
Kai piha.
Kaipiha.
Kai nui.
Kainui.
Kai hohon.
Kaikohon.
Kai pu.
Kaiku.
Kai apo.
Kaiak.
Kai holu holu.
Kaiholu.
Kai moku.
Kaimoku.
Kai emi.
Kaimi.
Kai maloo.
Maloo.
Kai make.
Kaimake.
Kai aaka.
Kaiamaka.
Kai hoe'e.
Oe.
Kai mimiki.
Kaimiliki.
Kai.
Kaiyakuluman.
Great. We don't need to walk through every single one, but we get it. When our hands are going here, what tide are we going to? High tide. Yes. Then we get kaiku, kayapo. These are all terms for when the ocean is big, deep, nui, piha, po. All your terms. Use any one of them. I would say go use the term that the kupuna use of that area. You might go to Napopo to Uncle Chucky Leslie, and he might say kaipiha. You come to Kiholo and my dad will say kainui. Not anyone is more correct than the other. It is place-based. It is what they learned and heard from their kupuna. So we stand in that honor. I do perhaps want to mention the last three. Kai hoe, kai mimiki, kaya kapulu man reserve visual that comes. Big. What is that, sweetie? Yeah. Tsunami. This kaiho is that big mountain wave that comes and boom. Mimiki. Receding tide. Pull back. You're ever at the ocean, right? And you see the you gotta go. You gotta go. Kaya kahuluman, one wave that comes in and just lands. Maybe the visual I get from that is the Japan. And then you're doing every day. Okay, good job. Good job, good job. We're just walking through this. Okay. So now we gotta back up, Noah. Sorry. Which is so how it is. I told the ladies, technology kind of makes me nervous. Can you try to back up one more? Okay, we're gonna come back to that one. So yeah, we can forward one slide. And can you press again so that the words come out of that person? I don't know what I did there. I tried to do an effect. Like boom. Come in, but it was a fail. That's it. There you go. Thank you, Noah. Okay, so this is about, you know how we talked about Pilina with people? I'm named after my grandfathers, my dad. I wanted to look at my middle name. So if you have more than one name, here's again, just for you to think about it. First, when I think of my name, Kuʻulei, I think of my dad. My dad named me. First connection to a person, a relationship. And I would say that there isn't a day that my dad and I don't talk. So it can even be like, Bebe, yeah. What are you doing today? Working? Yeah. You go Kiholo today? No, not today, Dad. Okay. I was just checking. Okay, thanks, Dad. Bye. That's the conversation every day. So to this person, my father, who has named me Alay, which is in our cultural ways, right? A object, perhaps we might look at it as that, but it's of affection, of aloha. You wear it close to your heart. All of these things are symbolic in a lei. It's in my name. Wow. So the first thing I thought about is lei, different kinds of lei. One of my favorite, being a Kona girl, but of course I'm also a Waimea girl. One of the things that comes to mind is Kona plumerias. Big, all different colors, so fragrant. And my visual then is this double or triple. Puamelia, lei puamelia, that none other than Sandy's mother, who's my Hanai mama, Granny Nui, made for my oldest daughter at graduation. All of her lei were epic, but this triple, so plumeria lei was, you could see Kamehana from far away because of this plumerias of Kona. So that's one of the thoughts that come to my mind. Granny Nui, Kona plumeria. Is that not the Pilina we're talking about? People and place, Mauka, Makai, all of those sorts of things. So then I think, oh, lei, my dad takes a position at Parker Ranch, becomes a Parker Ranch cowboy. We then come into the space of Waimea. I think of Akulikuli, those flowers of Waimea, Akulikuli lei. We just went to Kamehameha School contest. My Baba uses a pink Akulikuli lei. Everybody, I think that notes. You from Waimea? You came from Waimea. You're Akulikuli from Waimea. Yes, all of those things. But it takes me to these people. If you know Waimea, you will know who our lei makers are. You will know this name, Grandma Bernice Verdon, her daughter, Auntie Toots, her granddaughter, Didi. This is a succession of lei makers in Waimea that continue until today as lei makers. So it looks, that's my feeling, my relationship. And then I just did one more. I thought of these lei kaunaoa, beautiful orange grow on pohuehue at beaches. It immediately makes me think of my daughter. She was in Mayday one year. She was the island of Lanai. We had to get kaunaoa for her. They ride parade. They ride the island of Pau riding, Lanai. Then I remember a phone call from one of my dearest, Anna Bean. And she said, Sister Pualani almost ready to give birth to Amen. I said, okay, and what? We need kaunaoa. I said, okay. They're going to come. You guys coming? Yeah. So as we sit, Pua with her big opu, her husband, Anabi and I, we walk to the shoreline of Kalaimano. The kaunaoa is all in front of us. And I said, so sister, what do you need this? What is the kaunaoa for? She said, yeah, we will take this home. We're going to make tea. I will drink the tea because I'm ready to burn. Kaunaoa, you drink the tea of kaunaoa, and it is said to help in childbirth, to make slippery, to make hulu. Then you have a good, wet birth. Doesn't harm baby. You are not harmed in the birthing. So in many ways, that became ceremonial. You enter into this very sacred space of childbirth, connection, fellowship. Okay. I encourage you to look at your name in that way. Who are you connected to because of the name your parents gave you? What are the places you are connected to because of the name that your parents bestowed you? There is so much there. These are the relationships, first and foremost, that should be sought, affirmed, confirmed. Then you go make relation outside to other places, to other people, but affirm your internal foundation first. I think. So, we're going to have you guys stand up again. And sweetheart Noah, can you go back one? You guys see, this is the story of Vietnam technology. But anyway, my slides are in no way in order. Should I go back to the? Okay, this is the one. This is certainly the one. So like the other, you follow along. And I think you'll get it. The first one was Ma Kai. Kai, our tidal motions. This one is going to move us. Okay. Good. Nice, you guys. One more time. Yeah, this one. Did I miss one from the first time? We shall see. I think I got it. Okay, so we're going to repeat. We're starting from the bottom. Kahakai. Hula. Pahe. Wau ilima. Wau apa. Wau kanaka. Wau Wau mabukele. Wau nahe. Wahea. Hua mau. Hili. Hua lon. These are all of your zones. Takina. Your kahakai is your border, where the land meets the sea. So we make that right in here, forming these belts. Our sources are Pupuna, David Malo, Hawaiian Antiquities, the Hawaiian Language Dictionary. You look through that, and you will find the kahakai is that belt or that section where the land touches the sea. The Pula lands, you begin to ascend. This is where it says that people will dwell and people will live, what we call the pokai, the shore dwellers in that Pula zone. You kind of come up and it says traditionally there would be a zone that's called a pahe'e, which means slippery. Native grasses grew in this zone. Up from the pahe'e, you get into the wau ilima, where the ilima grows, and it is also called a wau apa'a, where this is kind of a dry, arid strip. It's kind of, drier. Then you're going to get to the wau kanaka. And I do this motion because there's a thought, huli kalima ilalo. This is the cultivated areas where man dwells, man cultivates. Huli kalima ilalo. Then above that, it says that the gods live above us in this wau akua, right above the wau kana. Now you're going to get into the wau maukele, your rain belt. Wau maukele. Then you get into the wau nahele. Monarchs, the big trees will grow. You get into the kuahea zone after that. Stunted trees because of the high elevation that is known to us as the kuahea. Then you go a little higher, you get to the kuamauna. These are your mountain sides. So beautiful. Then you get to your kuahivi, which are your mountains, your big mass mountains. Kualoni. Here. Your mountain tops, the peaks, ridges that take you to the summit peaks. There are your zones. So we went from the water's edge, the kahakai, out into tidal fluctuation. We come back to that kahakai and then you walk up to the kualono, your summit peaks. So hopefully, maybe one of the motions you can remember, oh yeah, okay, I think that one was the maukele, was this the kuahea? Nevertheless, I don't know if this is recorded, but I hope you can make again, remember, tack up to the summit regions and tidal fluctuations. And then, sweetheart, I think, Noah, we might be on our last slide, so if you can go, oh, here we go. That's the last slide. And so I am extremely thankful for you being present. Thank you, and asking, inviting. Thank you, San Lebua, for coming in with me. I stand grateful for sure. This particular poem, I do love to write. I'm not sure if any of you know Papa Willie Kaupiko. We all belong to a network called Kaikuleana, a big, beautiful networkings of these coastal villages. And a lot of us as the native tenants, the Hua'aina of these places belong to this beautiful network called Kaikuleana. And so Uncle Willie, I'm privileged to be in meetings and with them. And one day at Pukaana Church, Uncle Willie says, you know, Kuleana people, we all Kuleana people. We should look at ourselves as Kuleana people. We get big Kuleana. Our whole life, from when we was born, we had Kuleana. Till we maki, we die, we're going to have Kuleana. But that sparked something for me. And so I wrote this poem called Kuleana People. In our respective maybe careers, and most of us don't look at, well, I'm sure we look at it as a career, but passion work, life's work. This was the path that was chosen. We chose it. It chose us. All of those beautiful things. But if we can look at ourselves as Kuleana people, how beautiful that is. Look at yourself as a responsible. What is all of the Kuleana you have? You carry. Maybe it's a collective lift, a collective carry. Maybe there's individual Kuleana that we all assume. Nevertheless, I address you all with this and close with this poem. Kuleana people, I speak as one. I speak to you, Kuleana people. He ahi pio ole, a fire never extinguished. Memory, the past, what once was, a reality of a certain time. Will the canopy close in my lifetime? Will the canopy be lost in my lifetime? Will our efforts be realized in the soils that our hands touch? Will efforts be realized as our voices sing out to Moana Nui Akea? Will the efforts of Kuleana people be realized? His experience, I wish to see, to feel, to know. His reality, that which resides in his memory. And so I look inside his words. It is through his words that I experience his reality. I see and am amongst the ancestors he speaks of that dried their fish. I taste the honor of those Kuleana people. I feel the vibrations in my kino of the ho-ho, beating rhythm on the pua by the Kuleana people. I hear their song keeping beat. Ku kapa e ike kuana ke kapa e ho aho ie. I listen intently to and I touch the ike of the storyteller. Experience the story, see the story, distill the conveyance of lessons within the story, spoken by the Kuleana people. It is a long line of story memory. Kuleana people, he ahi pio ole, a fire never extinguished. Living memory, the present, the living experiences of today, knowledge transferred in the now. Walk alongside the fisherman, listen to the unspoken, watch the movements of his body, crouched down, motionless, watchful eyes, kilo, glimpses of the sparkle in the cresting wave. It is here and now that you mimic, you do like, you make like the teacher seated in front of you. Assume the position until you become the lawaita. Be the student we are intended to be. Be the Kuleana people. The catalyst, the problem perhaps, the brilliant idea, the igniting spark that made you oni. Move alone, you don't. Many surround you, walk alongside you, carry you. It is about the collective lift of all Kuleana people, a collective movement forward in the living experience, the living memory, shifting, look to the Kuleana people, transitions, transferring, listen to the Kuleana people, intended intentions, mimic the Kuleana people, succession, succeed. Become the Kuleana people. He ahi pio ole, a fire never extinguished. Remember the Pilina that once existed, that exists now, that will exist, made with each experience. Imagine the Pilina yet to be made and experienced, one day to be remembered by another generation and imagined by the next. Let this Pilina be established, be firm, be ever enduring for each and every one of us. The Kuleana. Who are you? Correct. Wow. Mahalo. Thoughts? Question? Thoughts? Yes.
When you're doing it, past times, what we call those, which body represents what is.
Called emotion?
Yeah, the emotion.
I guess it's like a hula.
Yes, that's what I was trying to think. Is those are similar to what you do with hula.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that is actually a memorization tactic. Of course, we don't dissect and look at things in that way, but right, when you put emotion to a word, whoop, causes more usage of the brain. It causes, it's a good skill, tactic for memorization. And then beyond memorization, to know these places. I look out and I imagine the places and spaces that you work, and then you can look, right, do I work in the Kuʻahea, where there's stunted trees because it's a higher elevation? In Waimea, we call this place high pressure. But it's as you go up behind Hoku'ula, behind Oahuaca, you keep going to your, you can oversee the valleys, Waipio, Waimanu, Ko'iame, all of that opens in front of you, but the trees are maybe not a little taller than I am. Here we are in the Kuʻahea. Maybe you work in the rain belt where the monarchs of the forest, But anyway, yeah, these are definitely hula, I would say hula motions to accompany the words, which is the basic premise of hula. All righty. Any other thoughts? Are we good? I hope, yes, Mr. Noah.
I do have one. So, Kalamai Maiolelo is not very good, but there was an association with one of the, yes, Kai a Kahulumanu. And I think that my bird brain just fixated on Manu, but I was wondering if there was any connection between that tide and birds or not.
You might like I think your brain went there to say,
Yeah.
that's a familiar word, manu.
Man.
Manu means bird.
Yeah.
And here it is, we find it in this word. Kaya kahulu manu. Not that I know of, not that I have read. At the same time, this is what I mean when you look into a word, you look into a place name. When a bird's wings opens out, maybe that's kind of the action of a flood. That's what the kaya kahuluman is. Big wave that comes in and just opens up the expanse of water. Kaya. So maybe, right, you could look at it in that way, that it potentially could have or be relative or have some sort of correlation. The opening expanse of a bird's wings, maybe that's how Kupuna saw it when they named that particular experience or visual. So I would say look like that. Look into it like that.
The place that my mind went was with Ulili and Akekeke and Kolea, and how when they're feeding, they sometimes need water to cover a place so that they can, forage for the invertebrates in the water. I didn't know if there's a connection between that tide and our shorebird friends.
Yeah, none that I have read or seen or heard of that particular correlation. But more, I think it's that visual, right? I think we can all get that visual of the span of the wings, how they come out and are broad and expansive, maybe like a flood could be. But yeah, so none that I have read to look at the ulili or the kolea or any of those as they walk the shoreline and slide the shoreline and get their food. But yeah, I have not read any of those correlations.
Finally, like I said, the Kuʻulei fly at the shoreline, they will sing their song along the shoreline, letting you know it's low tide. So now that you kind of said that we call Tulu Manuel, the Kuʻulei sings it when it's low. So I just wanted to say that it brought up song.
What's the
The
translation
Kuʻulei
of
singing low, what put up the Tulu Manuel? It's really like it's Spanish.
what's the translation of kahulu?
So it's all together.
Oh, it's
Kahulu
all
by
together.
itself would mean like a feather, but kaya kahulu manu, right? We got to take it in its entirety. But it's the same thing as kai kahili na'i. which is attributed in a mo'olelo that talks about a great flood that had occurred. So it's kind of interchangeable, just like how kaimake and kaimalo'o are they mean the same thing, low tide. So kai kahilina'i, kai kahulu, kaya kahulumani mean the same thing, a big flood. Yeah. All righty. Well, I hope this was good.
Yeah.
And enjoyable to whatever extent, and we were able to disseminate information, at least about connections, relationship, mauka, makai. You have these terms and words, and maybe I could, if you guys would like to, I could put the English translations, get them to Emma. Should you desire, you could have these words or the different woe that takes you all the way up to the Pualono, the mountain peaks and summit areas of our mountains. But thank you all.